Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And you know, it's really nice to actually be able to be positive and be happy and be a little bit excited for a project coming out there. Because boys and girls, for so very long, every time we heard the word remake or adaptation or reboot or sequel or origin story, for a very long time, the general audiences out there simply rolled their eyes and went, ugh, great, again. Another giant sign that Hollywood has no idea how to create anything new or do anything on their own without the help from someone else and from an own established IP. And probably a lot of fans felt the exact same thing when it came to the Elden Ring movie adaptation that was announced not too long ago. Well, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, if you watched my last video where Common Nerd went on a little bit of a rant about a lot of the problems in Hollywood, a lot of the problems in the IPs and the creatives that have done to them, not only what the answer to that problem is, but also what the future may indeed hold for all of us fans out there of the culture. Definitely go check that video out if you haven't already and you want to get an idea of a little insight into what might actually end up holding that and what actually might be some of the solutions to some of the cultural rot that we've got going on right now. And definitely go check out that video because it's not going to get any love from the algorithm at all because it's not some big flashy thing about some movie coming out. But at the end of the day, it ends up coming down to one of the things that gets you at least cautiously optimistic about a project is when you hear about the fact that a fan is in charge. One of the lovely examples that I like to bring up all the time is the Transformers comic books out there. If you haven't gone and checked them out and you're even slightly a Transformers fan, I highly recommend it. They are excellent. One of the reasons why they are excellent is because the people who held onto the IP and had the rights to publish those comics actually got a fan and put them in charge. And it was a super fan. And boys and girls, a recent interview out there from Alex Garland, the director for the new Elden Ring adaptation movie, is, guess what, boys and girls, a super fan. And hear him talk about his love for Elden Ring reminds me almost identically to the love that the new creator for Transformers comics has for that exact IP. And boys and girls, we may indeed, despite all of the abominations that Hollywood has given us over the last few years, actually get a good Elden Ring movie, boys and girls. And Alex let slip who might end up being one of the biggest and hardest bosses and biggest challenges in his movie adaptation overall. So we're going to check out this article from IGN.com, getting all of the juicy details, because of course, the New Yorker just had to put this behind a paywall, but we don't need everything else. We just need the stuff here from Alex Garland. So we're going to check out this article, getting all of the juicy details of exactly what Alex has said and how much of a super fan he really is and how we all Elden Ring fans out there could absolutely relate to him with this story. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,100. I think we're sitting at like 2,171, and we're sailing our way towards 2,200, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Let me know what you think about all this. Does this surprise you at all that Alex Garland is a super fan? Does it surprise you that Hollywood actually allowed somebody to be in charge that is a fan of this product? Do you think this has to do a lot with the fact that the company behind Elden Ring has a very tight control over their IP and is very protective of it, like all companies should be? Or do you think even despite his being a super fan, this thing is still going to turn into absolute hot garbage? Let us know all that in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from IGN.com and our dear sweet Wesleyan Pool. Elden Ring superfan Alex Garland put together a 160-page draft script. 160 pages. This guy hasn't been hired at this point, hadn't been hired for the job, hasn't gotten any kind of paycheck, hasn't gotten any kind of advance. No, he put a 160-page draft script together just for a pitch trying to get a job. Boys and girls, at the height of some of your most favorite IPs out there, tell me you did not know of somebody who'd either written their own fan fiction or written their own script adapting one of their favorite stories from your most beloved IP out there. Tell me this does not sound like a fan or friend you know. With 40 extra pages of images to convince, and I'm going to butcher this name, and I apologize for this, sir, Hideaki Miyazaki to let him direct the movie. And I like this from Wesley and Poole. I command thee, kneel. It sounds like Elden Ring movie director Alex Garland went the extra mile to convince From Software chief Miyazaki to give his seal of approval to the adaptation. The Ex Machina and Civil War director and self-confessed Elden Ring superfan, and to go on this as well, too, is that for one of the kind of things, Civil War could have easily gone modern politics, modern all of the nonsense, bring in all of that kind of stuff, and they didn't, right? And whether you like the movie or not, at least it didn't lean into that kind of thing. I heard about Ex Machina. It sounded good. If you guys have seen it and enjoyed it, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section down below, or if you hated it. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. I just don't know much. I'm not all that familiar with the guy's work, but A24 has done some really good stuff, which is one of the reasons why I was cautiously optimistic when I heard that A24 was going to be the studio behind adapting this, boys and girls. So a self-confessed Elden Ring superfan working on the Elden Ring movie with A24 and with Game of Thrones author George R. R. Martin, get back to the winds of winter, George, who helped create the original Elden Ring, attached as a producer. In a new report by The New Yorker, it's revealed that Garland completed an epic 160-page draft with 40 additional pages of imagery, a script on spec, and then flew to Japan to pitch the game's elusive creator, Miyazaki. Obviously, that meeting went well. And I think this reminds me very well of another adaptation that we had that was very successful recently. Just last year, we had the One Piece. Wasn't it just last year? The One Piece adaptation, right? We know Miyamoto out there, we know Oda is very protective of his IP, right? There was interviews with Oda that flat out said he finally felt that the technology had advanced far enough that they could properly do a live action adaptation of his material, of his IP, of his story, without completely and totally making it look ridiculous and nonsensical and all of that kind of stuff out there. And it's one of the situations where at the exact same time, we heard about the people, the writers, the directors, the creatives, even right down to the actors and actresses involved in the One Piece live action, how they were all super fans. They had all loved about this. This was something they had dreamed of when they were just sitting around talking about their friends to all of this kind of stuff. We've heard about the people that are going to do the newly updated adaptation of the original story, of the original anime out there, right? How they have spent months going over Oda's art style, studying and making sure that they could draw exactly like Oda. So when they do their version of it, it is clearly a representation and an homage to Oda's work. These are the kind of people that you want in charge of your IPs. These are the ones that make them successful. These are the ones that has made your Transformers comics an absolute gangbusters. This is what made One Piece arguably one of the largest hits that Netflix has ever seen. This is what's made things like Five Nights at Freddy's very excellent adaptations that made the fans truly happy. And if Hollywood can put its ego and its narcissism aside, doubtful, but if they can, and continuing hiring people like Alex Garland who are super fans, this is how you can turn things around and make these IPs palatable and financially successful with the built-in audience that they already have, which is why you pay so much for these IPs. Yes, Disney, we're talking to you. Obviously, that meeting went well. Now the Elden Ring movie is finally a reality, although we know next to nothing about it, as we should. But we do know is Garland is an Elden Ring pro. In June, he told IGN on his 7th playthrough from Software's epic fantasy RPG and revealed the boss he found the toughest to take down. Which, if it's the boss he found toughest to take down, I'd imagine it's going to end up being a major player in the movie. Or, for that matter, she. Speaking to IGN ahead of the release of 28 Years Later, which of course did financially horrible at the box office, the zombie apocalypse film he wrote 23 years on from pinning the first movie in the franchise, which was phenomenal, Garland revealed which of all of the famed foes in Elden Ring that he has settled on being the most difficult. Melania, Blade of Miquella. It's Melania who's the tough one. I'm now on my 7th playthrough of that game. That just shows you how much of a super fan he is. Now, given the majority of the time, I only play video games when I'm streaming with you guys out there, so make sure you have that notification bell hitting so you never miss any of that out there. But I haven't, even back before I was streaming and I was playing the game all by my lonesome in my room, I still have never beat that game. So shout out for Garland on that one for sure. On my 7th playthrough of that game, I've leveled up, I've got lots of juice and a cool sword and stuff like that. And I just throw myself at them again and again and again. That is a technique I've learned from Dark Souls. It's not just that you get better. It's more like monkeys and typewriters. You just keep doing it and eventually one day they're dead. Now, as a guy who has put a lot of hours in Elden Ring and still not beat it, this is something that I can relate to. I've never played the Dark Souls games. I heard about them and I was like, nope, that's not for me. But I did play a mecha game that a lot of people called the Souls-like of the mecha games out there, right? Fires of Rubicon, Armored Core Fires of Rubicon. I had never played a game like that before, but you know what? One of my supporters out there was really wanting people to play it. I said, I'll play it. He bought it for me. He helped upgrade my PC so we could play it properly and stream it properly, and I loved that game. That first boss took me 6 hours to get through, boys and girls. That game literally rewrote my brain as the way I play games. And to a certain degree, given I did eventually see the patterns, but there was a lot of it where I was just throwing myself up against the wall for 6 hours, trying different things over and over and over again before I finally beat that boss. And I think as a gamer, anyone out there can relate to being in that situation. I guarantee you there was some boss that you were stuck on out there in a game you just could not give up, that you literally just beat yourself against the wall until finally, by some miracle of God, you got lucky and survived long enough to get that final blow. We have all been there. We can all relate. It's just like all the Transformers hardcore fans can relate to losing their fist off their Optimus Prime in the Transformers comics. This is the exact same kind of thing. This is what you want to hear from somebody adapting one of the most beloved IPs and franchises currently in the globe. This is a direct opposite from the likes of Kathleen Kennedy, Kevin Feige, and the rest of their ilk, and the rest of Hollywood's ilks out there. Name your favorite IP. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, anybody who wanted to do a girl boss narrative right from the get-go? Or Kathleen Kennedy, who wanted to turn Star Wars into a girl brand? Or Marvel's studio head Kevin Feige, who said you're gonna see more women in comic books whether the fans want it or not? Tell me this is not something that is so refreshing. Tell me this does not at least push you slightly towards the idea of being cautiously optimistic that the Elden Ring adaptation may indeed end up being good. This is the solution. This is the answer. This is how you do it. And this is why, despite everything else I had on the docket today, despite everything else that would probably please my algorithm so much more than this, we stopped and did this video. Why? Because this is the solution that we talked about in our rant about everything that's wrong with Hollywood and these IPs. Please go check out that video after this one is done. If you haven't already, leave us a comment. Help push that video out in the algorithm, because this is the solution. It's not rocket science. You find somebody who loves and respects the IP and respects the fans because they are one of them. It's the reason why fans and audiences and the culture as a whole loves Henry Cavill, because he has proven time and time again, not only is he one of us, but he is someone who is willing to defend us as well. This is the answer. This is the solution. It's not rocket science. It's really not. But Hollywood needs to put their pride and the ego aside and allow fans to do fan things. That's how you make a successful adaptation. That's why Minecraft made all of the money it did. That's why Five Nights at Freddy's, despite an day and date release on streaming as well, still made a profit at the box office. A very sizable profit. More profit than Marvel has made since Endgame. Why? Because you put fans in charge. Because you allow people who can put their pride and their ego aside to run an IP and stay true to that IP. And Elden Ring has exactly that kind of superfan in charge of it. Alex Garland has proven to everyone out there, not only is he a superfan, but he's also a competent film director and creator. The real question is, can he combine both of those to give us an epic Elden Ring movie? At the end of the day, boys and girls, all signs are pointing to yes. I was right about X-Men the Animated Series. I was right about Five Nights at Freddy's. I was right about One Piece. I don't normally tout that kind of stuff because I don't want my own ego and narcissism to get out of hand. But at the end of the day, all of those signs were there for those to be good projects. And now Alex Garland is giving us all of those same signs. Boys and girls, the tea leaves are reading that Elden Ring may indeed be good adaptation. And we'll have Alex Garland, the superfan, to thank for that. Because at the end of the day, fans decide what succeeds and what fails. And Alex Garland is a fan that wants his project to succeed. And that will make you successful. After all, put the fans in charge and you'll be surprised how successful of a franchise you can get. Ignore the source material and put your own pride and ego in charge. And well, it'll be just another disastrous dumpster fire. I, for one, am excited for Elden Ring. Let's see what they can pull off, and let's see if Common Nerd ends up being right again. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.